Hello and welcome to the Inbetween Podcast. I'm your host Joe Scott. I'm joined here by Tony Tones at RT. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing very good. This definitely Sunday.
This definitely Sunday. It's another
Yep.
Sunday that me or you have been busy, so we've missed. But we're
Yeah.
back. Um, it's it's been a while. I alluded to the fact that I was getting. Did I say I was getting a Steam Deck last time?
I
We
can't
were.
remember when was last time. I can't actually remember.
It's like a couple weeks ago, right? Um,
Yeah.
Yes, I have a Steam Deck now, and I have a lot of thoughts on it because I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks. So I've been tinkering the shit out of it. Doing I think to some people they will just get a Steam Deck, go to their Steam library, and they will essentially just download Steam games and go, "Oh, my Steam library, I can play it," and go, "Cool." I was like, I wonder what this thing can do. Let me try and download everything. So I was like, I set up emulators. I set up I tried to set up third-party launchers. I was trying to set up like Battle.net and GOG and Epic Launcher and did a bunch of stuff in the desktop environment. It's been really eye-opening. One of the first things I will say now is I would not recommend the Steam Deck to somebody who is not like a tinkerer slash somebody who, if someone was new to gaming, I'd be like, you can get a £350 PC and you can just play games from Steam on it.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be the same sort of experience as giving somebody a Switch for like £300 and let's say like
Yeah.
£50 to buy a game. You are gonna
It
have a much different experience than that. But
it really is a handheld PC, like through and through, like both good and bad parts of
because there's
PC.
been stuff in my library where it's verified and it just works. But then there's other stuff where it has like no verification level, and I've tinkered with it
Yeah.
and installed like custom Proton versions, and then it just works with that. So let's start at the beginning. What is a Steam Deck? Steam Deck is a Linux
What?
PC running on Steam
Yeah.
OS. So the way it works is if something has a native Linux port, it can just be played natively through Steam Deck. This would be your Steam Deck verified titles. There's also another so the Steam Deck verified thing is really good for immediately showing you what's playable on Steam. Highly recommend ProtonDB. ProtonDB will show us what is playable through Proton or how well it runs on Linux specifically. It will have ratings and it will have comments of people will give their own user settings for running it on Linux. And there's a specific section for user settings for running it on the Steam Deck. There's also an extension called ProtonDB inside the Steam Deck custom app store that you can download called Decky, but that's a tinkering step I'll have to get into later. I'm going to start going down like a tinkering rabbit hole.
Before we go too into the rabbit hole, do you think if you only downloaded like Steam verified games,
It would
like,
be a
would you
very
still
good
say it's more
experience.
complicated than like the Switch to use?
No.
Like you try, like in a way, you're trying to avoid tinkering. Like you just want to install the game, launch the game, maybe change some settings.
If you
Which
only
arguably is already more
if you
complicated.
only wanted to play games on Steam that was Steam
Yeah,
Deck verified, yes.
yeah,
But the problem
yeah.
is the vast majority of people that's not what they want.
No,
Is the problem.
but that's fair. But I'm just saying, like compared to a Switch, you can only play games that are on the Switch. Like
I'm
it's
just
their
so
store and
over the
only their
past couple
store.
of weeks, I've been trying to upgrade my PC, and I've received 2 dead power supplies. So I've had like so
That's
much
crazy.
downtime on my PC is just completely in parts. I'm absolutely tired from trying to build it. I just sit down
Yeah.
on my Steam Deck, and I'm like, I've been playing tons of Overwatch 2. So I was like, I want to play Overwatch 2. And trying to set up Overwatch 2 in the Steam Deck, this is a game that most people are playing right now. That's
Yeah.
a horrible experience for like most
But
people.
but to me that's like, oh, this, like, to me it's like, oh, this game's on PC but not on Switch. Like this is on
But
PC, not on deck.
the
It's how
idea
like
of
I would
the
see
idea
that.
of a deck is it is a PC.
Yeah, I know, but there's some things that only like are verified for it, and not everything can run on it.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. That's the
Yeah,
caveats of
yeah,
the
yeah,
Steam
yeah.
Deck.
I get that. But I'm just
So
saying, if you go the route of like only verify stuff, like it kind of treat it as a console, where it's like, okay, it is a PC. Technically, anything can run on it if I tinker, but I'm only doing this. I feel like would that not be a lot easier to
How much DMCA do you think I'll remove if I show what's on my screen right now? So here's a video of somebody. Here's a video of somebody else playing Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii.
Okay.
How do I need to full cam it, guys. This is not live. I haven't timed up the button
This is a
presses.
video. It's a
This is
video.
a video that I've timed up. Hang on, let me go into my NVIDIA broadcast settings. And if you don't have a face on NVIDIA broadcast, it's very hard to see.
You don't exist, basically. No face, no existence.
I got to be honest with you. I have been playing one of the games I've played the most on the Steam Deck has been Super Mario Galaxy from the Wii. I have been doing big time emulation. It's one of the
that's so cool. I think to me, like, this is obviously a very tinkering thing to do, but yeah, the emulation stuff seems so cool to me.
Yeah. So maybe I should just start with what Steam games I've been playing, then I'll deep dive into that was literally the last
time for this.
Yeah, okay. So because this was literally the last thing I was playing, and I've got it running in the background because that's another thing. Emu Deck is so fucking good. I gotta just shout out how good Emu Deck is very quickly, and I'll go deep dive into why it's so good. But let's go to my library. And then just go to my installed section. So I'll go through every game that I've played, and I'll give a quick review. Valheim. I spent a lot of time playing Valheim on the deck. I started to play Valheim on the PC with some friends. They were just like, let's play some Valheim. And I was getting tired, and I was like, man, I could be cutting down trees in bed. Why don't I load this up in the Steam Deck? And I loaded it up, and it's verified. It just works. I mean, and it's a very good controller experience. It has gyro.
Yes, it works controller.
It has gyro aiming. One of the really fucking cool things about the Steam Deck is it has custom controller profiles. You don't like how the game controls? Change it.
Change it, yeah.
You like Nintendo buttons for if, say, for example, you were playing a Nintendo game for some reason. There's literally a switch for that will switch the B and A button.
Why would you be doing that though?
I don't know. You want to hear the craziest thing about emulating through Steam? You can use custom controller profiles that other people have made for that emulation. So people have already made controller profiles for like fucking Wii controls and shit.
That's cool.
Valheim. Amazing experience. I'm just playing it without the box settings. I haven't tinkered, but it's running at 30 FPS. One of the biggest things I will say is I used on my PC. I would say I strive for 1440p, 120 frames.
Yeah.
Playing the deck on this small screen has opened my eyes up to not only 40 FPS, which I think is sort of the gold standard for image input latency and fluidity, while still keeping a very good-looking image with lots of good battery life. I kind of don't mind 30 FPS on some games on this either. I think 30 FPS is like quite acceptable on a lot of stuff as well. Like I played Valheim for like hours at 30 FPS, and there wasn't a point where I was like, "Oh, my inputs are so delayed," and I'm feeling sick from the FPS or anything.
I assume like if you could get Overwatch to work properly, you wouldn't want to go below 40. I would assume.
No, I would not. I would want to try and get 60 because the thing is, Overwatch is an esports title, so it's very scalable.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's next Trombone Champ. Trombone Champ is non-verified but playable, and it is technically playable. But Trombone Champ does not have any controller support, so you're essentially emulating the mouse on a joystick or with the trackpads. But one of the best ways to play Trombone Champ that I just used a community profile is you use gyro to move the trombone up and down, and then the triggers to toot. And that was one of the best ways to play it on the Steam Deck. I would not recommend doing it any other way, because I was trying to do it on the TV. Another thing, I have the Steam Deck dock. I got the official one. And I've been spending a lot of time plugging it into a TV and then using external controllers and then just sitting back and playing local co-op games or just playing like games on the big
Switch
TV.
advert. You gone to a garden party yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Star Realms. I played it for a little bit, but I don't. I thought, I don't think Star Realms really has controller support. It's not a lot. It's sort of just like a bigger touchscreen version than the phone version, I would say.
Right.
Rift Track's the game. If you don't know what this is, it's essentially a Jackbox game, but you essentially write funny prompts for. I should go to my Steam library and then show you these games. You essentially write funny Jackbox prompts, and then you play them. It was completely just the Steam Deck verified stuff was just like we have no fucking idea about this game. I tried to launch it. It launched fine and worked perfectly. I thought it might be fine because it essentially is just playing videos, and then it just hosts an online server, sort of like Jackbox, as I said. But I plugged it into the TV around my sister's house. I was like, let's try this game. I want to proof of concept this so I can take it to a friend's house and we can play this Jackbox-like experience. Because I'm essentially saying this as two things. It's a portable handheld console, but for me it's also a portable LAN PC, so I can plug this into TVs and play local co-op games.
Party
as soon as it got to the part of playing the videos, it did not work at all.
Really?
So let's talk about what is Proton. Proton is a compatibility layer that essentially takes a native Windows game and converts it to a Linux version so it's playable. Now, there's not just one version of Linux, there's multiple. And Steam will come with Proton and their version numbers. So some people will say, hey, this game works on this version of Proton, so you can change them on the fly. And then there's Proton Experimental, which is like the newest version, which is the most likely to have bugs, but the most likely to have fixes. So that's sort of the one you want to like test things out if they're not working on the current stable branch of Proton. I could not get this to work at all on Proton Experimental. But, interesting thing, I got to talk about Linux for a bit. You can download Proton GE, and the easiest way to do this is by downloading Proton Qt through your Flatpak store, your Discover store, and then that will enable you to use Proton GE, which is a community-made version of Proton, which has fixes for games that may go under the radar or Valve hasn't got to yet, and is like much more regularly updated and not necessarily better, but different. So it's another way to try to play games, sort of thing. I found as soon as I put it on Proton GE, it worked. I could see the videos. It was a fully functioning game, which is really cool to see. Because I went on their Steam forums, and other people, it seems like, were like, I'm trying to get this to work on a Steam Deck so I can plug it into a TV and play it on there. It was cool seeing other people having the exact same idea as me.
Essentially, I find it interesting that like there's a lot of people like talking about using the Steam Deck. Like I didn't expect like this number of people like tinkering and like.
I don't know if you know how on Steam for the longest time it would show Steam's top sellers and it would be the big game, Call of Duty, whatever.
Yeah.
But it would always be the Valve Index. The Valve Index was always on there for some reason. Seller. People were buying it like crazy on Steam.
Yeah.
That's been replaced by the Steam Deck. The number one top seller, like I literally looked at the top seller on Steam for this month, and it's the Steam Deck. Because especially people like me, so 2020, nobody could get the Steam Deck because it was delayed.
No.
And then at the end of 2022, they said, hey, you can click a button and the Steam Deck will immediately come. And I just got back from a very long flight sitting next to someone with a Steam Deck, and I said, you know what? I want a Steam Deck.
Great advertising.
Yeah.
Do you think that guy on the plane won it from watching the Game Awards?
I can't believe that I was sat there like, I don't know if I've told this story because I went over to Sweden on the podcast, and I was on my phone and I was watching Star Trek the original series on my little mobile phone. I turned to my right. This Giga Chad has an iPad with Better Call Saul on it. Great show. And then he just pulls out the fucking Steam Deck. He's playing some like anime like Dark Souls game, which I'm like, still to this, I have no idea what he was playing. And then he pulled out that like you know how I said in 2022 it was going to be really confusing because there was like 5 games coming out with West in the title?
Yeah.
Evil West. No, he was playing Evil West. There's also Blood West that came out last year.
It's 4.
Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah. So, yeah, Rift Track. Resident Evil 2 Revelations 2. I got it working on Steam Deck, kind of. Me and my friend Dave play Resident Evil games together. We've played through all the co-op ones, so we've played through 5 and 6 together. And that's about it for co-op ones, right? I'm not misremembering anything. Anyway, he was like, Resident Evil 2 Revelations 2 says it's co-op. I said, cool. So we got it both. And then we were going to go online to play, and it said, yeah, I essentially figured out you could only play co-op on the weird online horde-based mode. There wasn't actually online co-op for the campaign, but there was local multiplayer. So I tried Steam Remote Play, it had Steam Remote Play together, and Dave was having terrible internet at the time, and he just could not play it properly. It just was not working at all. But I did actually, so I specifically installed this and got it I got it working on I think I was using, so for example, with Proton, I'll check which version I have now, because I think Proton Experimental works with this game, because I tried Proton GE first, and Proton GE does not work with Resident Evil Revelations. So when you have these playable or unverified games, you will have to tinker around with the version that you're trying to run them on.
Yeah. It's kind of hit or miss whether it'll work on.
But I got that working with 2 controllers plugged into a TV, so I can local co-op play Resident Evil Revelations with a friend when he comes round. Plate Up. Steam Deck verified. I don't know if you remember this game. Came out last year. Essentially, sort of like Overcooked, but it's like a roguelite where you manage a restaurant at the end of each day based on your performance. You buy new cookers, or you buy new workstations or new recipes to sell your customers. And then when you have a bad day and you fuck up, then you have to start again, sort of thing. It's like a roguelite Overcooked. You own this game. It was part of the Jingle Jam Christmas bundle.
Yeah.
And my sister came around and I was like, why don't we try this? I've literally never played it. I plugged it into the TV, set it up, just worked out the box. So I was playing on a Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, and I got her to play on the Steam controller. I found that crazy that I'm emulating Mario Kart, and I'm playing one controller as an Xbox controller, one controller as a Steam controller, and one controller is the Steam Deck itself. And I'm just like,
yeah,
it just gives me flashbacks to when I was playing PS Now, playing the fucking David Cage Heavy Rain with an Xbox controller on my PC, and I was just what is happening at this point? Plate Up's really good. I've only played I played about 40 minutes. It's quite tough at first, but we got the hang of it. So this one's really going to confuse you, Tony. One of the games I've played the most on Steam Deck, because when I got the Steam Deck, I installed a bunch of games and I said, these are the games I'm going to be playing. And then the actual games I ended up playing were very different. I have 2.4 hours. I've never played this game before on Octodad Deadliest Catch.
You've never played it before?
I've never played Octodad before. All of my stats are from the Steam Deck. My sister's got fiber to the premises internet, so I was just going through my Steam library and I was like, I'm on your internet. Is there anything you want me to download on here to play together? And I will just put it on the TV and we can play it. And she was like, I want to watch you play Octodad. And I was like, okay. So I installed Octodad, and so I think most people who's played Octodad, they would have played it with the mouse and keyboard, I guess. But I got to be honest with you,
so.
It's Steam Deck verified, and I got to say the controller support is very good. The controls are as good as they can be for a game that is trying to make it hard to control.
Yeah, it's not. I say it's not annoying. It's the intended annoyingness.
I have no idea how long this game is, but I'm at the point.
Very...
Yeah, I'm at the point where I guess spoilers for Octodad. I just went to the aquarium.
Yeah, you're pretty far.
And then I went on the boat, and then and now I'm trying to escape the aquarium. So I might be near the end of the game. I honestly don't know. You know what's the most fucked up thing? Because I also wanted to play Bug Snacks, because I got that recently. I can't believe the creators of Bugsnax made Octodad Deadliest Cat.
Yeah.
I just got to get that Bugsnax deep lore for when I play that game. I've got to make sure I play Octodad Deadliest.
What?
Deadliest
What's
Cat,
the other
sorry.
game? What's the other game that they made?
Young
Was
Horses.
There's another one.
I can only see Bugsnax on here, but maybe it's on
Oh,
Google.
okay. Maybe there's the only other game. I swear it's something else, but yeah, maybe it's somewhere else.
What's it? Young Horses?
I think that's what you said.
Yeah, just Bugsnax and Octodad.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Next game. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. This is another game where I was like, I own this. No one else owns it. Because it costs like 20 quid. I played a ton of multiverses this year. I'm a fan of platform fighters with mascot fighters.
Yeah.
I quite like this game, but I have no one to play it with because it's a buy it game, and I couldn't convince any of my friends to buy it to play it with me. But one thing I can do with the Steam Deck, which is beautiful with the dock, I can take this round to their house and I can force them to play games with me now. Because they have to sit down and play this Smash Bros. Clone I have with SpongeBob SquarePants and fucking... I play as my main character is Garfield. I'm a Garfield main.
A Garfield main. Wait, you're not Michelangelo main?
No, well, pizza time. No, I play Garfield. One of my favorite moves is just he eats lasagna and then smashes people. He also throws pies at people. I love his recovery tech because it's really dumb, and I always fuck it up. He essentially just like leaps like a cat, and that's his whole recovery tech. It's really hard to use. But yeah, I like this game. They've gone back and they've added like items and voice acting, but it's past the point where people are going to give a shit. Because it didn't launch with voice acting and items and stuff like that. Because I think the player base is pretty dead now. They've done a couple of like...
didn't it?
Well, it came out at the end of 2021, but I got it in 2022 because it was part of the Humble Choice Bundle, which I am no longer subscribed to. I looked at the January one and I was like, nah, not for me. I might look next month and see if it's something I want to get back into, but I did get some pretty interesting games. This was on my wish list, so I did want to play this. But yeah, cool game. I have tested it out on the Steam Deck. It's Steam Deck verified. It works. I've played it personally with 2 controllers. It's a good LAN experience. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix, another one. I've played it personally. I played this with my sister. She owns a Switch. She was very upset because the controls were not immediately mapped for the... Nintendo does A and B flipped.
Yeah.
So I was basically... I was trying to get her to rebind the controls the way that it worked in her brain. She was like, no, LB is slide, but that needs to be on RB, and RB needs to be on X, and RT needs to be B, and A needs to be... And I was trying to get her to do it herself through the config, and I was just like, I just need to sit here and reverse engineer... Because I know what the fuck I'm doing, and I need to just reverse engineer your brain and what you want me to do. And eventually I sat down and I figured it out, and I rebound every single control to the Nintendo equivalent, and then I went into the options menu and I found the Nintendo button that switches it to the Nintendo layout, and I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, I took so long. This is a game where, like... hopefully there would have been a community template for you to go and switch it for you, but I don't think there's many people playing this. There was no community template.
Right.
So if people are interested, like, I could upload my template that I made insanely onto the community hub, and other people can use it if they want. And it will give you basically Mario Kart Switch controls, but for this game, if that's what you want. Which is the really cool thing. You can have insane people make control schemes, and then you can upload them and go, if this is what you want, here you go. It's on Steam now.
That level of community is amazing.
Neon White, Steam Deck verified. I have played a lot of Neon White. If you've seen my Neon White, I worry about my Neon White Tangerine, because a lot of my Neon White Tangerine is me complaining, but it's the same thing. You remember when the Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out? Yeah. And I loved the original Binding of Isaac, so I was really harsh on the Binding of Isaac Rebirth because I felt like it let down the original in a couple of ways, but I still really loved the game. But I was so upset about the small changes that it sounded like I didn't like the game. I love Neon White, but if you've only watched our Tangerine, you'll be like, Joe hates this game. I fucking love this game. It is amazing.
I
I
I
just
thought from
think
the time I can't I was there, so I haven't watched it, but I swear like it was like you just disliked the story. I thought that
I
was the
think
only issue.
I'm not the only. Every single person I see talk about this game is like the soundtrack fucks.
Yeah.
The gameplay is fucking amazing. The story and dialogue is cringe. Skip it. I thought it was going to be... So, I wanted to test out FPSs specifically because I knew that it was going to be challenging on the deck because I don't have controller FPS aim muscle memory. And I thought, maybe I could get around it with gyros. My problem with this game is, if I'd never played Neon White, I could probably play this from the beginning and learn to play it on controller and just chill out and relax and be like, I've never played this level before. And just, be like, yeah, this is fine if I don't, immediately ace the level. The problem is, on some of the levels in this game, I am like top 150 in the world, and playing them on the Steam Deck was very frustrating. To go like, I'm so fucking slow, I can't speedrun the first level because I'm having trouble jumping with a controller. So for me, it was a frustrating experience, but that's because I've got so good on the PC that it was annoying me that I didn't have more control over the game, but I'd already built up this sort of muscle memory and expectation of myself from this game. This game makes you want to be better at the game, and when you have this roadblock of the controls in the way, it can be a frustrating experience. So this was an interesting one for me. Because this is obviously something I'd already played, and wasn't as great. Next up we have Neo Dash. Neo Dash, another game that came out last year. I played it based on a demo. It is essentially a driving game that is synced to the music of the soundtrack. It's a lot of like monster track, like very like EDM-y sort of music. I love the soundtrack. I think it's great. And it has like Rocket League kind of car control. So immediately I picked this up and I was like, I know exactly how to control. I'm going really fast and it's playing really cool music. You have like lots of like jets and aerial controls. So, like, I think a lot of people commented on it saying like it feels like it was designed for Rocket League players almost. And I think that's cool because I love Rocket League, but I also love like single player experiences. So this game is really fucking cool. And I've never played it on my PC, but I've only played it on Steam Deck, and it's a great Steam Deck experience. It is Steam Deck playable, but I did not change anything about it at all. And it's really, really fucking good. I'd recommend it. Also, it has a custom level editor. So what I always say about games is if you only make so much content, if you just throw in a level editor or something, people will make all the content for you a lot of the time. I haven't finished the game to see how true that is, because obviously not every game has unlimited content. Depends who's playing it and who's making content for it. But cool that they shipped it with this, and this game's really fun and runs flawlessly at 60 FPS. It's not like a particularly visually demanding game. It looks great. Next up we have Immortals: Fenyx Rising. I got this at the end of last year, even though I said I would never get a Ubisoft game again or something on the... You remember when I was like, fucking Ubisoft's removing DLC, I hate how awful Uplay is with the Uno, and I was like, I'm not going to fuck with Ubisoft. I was really curious about this game, and I was also really curious to see how a Ubisoft game played through the Steam Deck. So I think it's a lot easier because it was natively on Steam. God help you if you have this on Uplay, I think. I think that's going to be a tough time. It's essentially like the open world Ubisoft version of Breath of the Wild. But I heard it was like very good at like 40 FPS, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a good experience. I think you can go to 60, but you have to turn like all the settings down. So yeah, it was a bit of a pain setup. You sort of needed I don't think I needed I needed to emulate a mouse in order to... I had to it opens Uplay first, and then you need to make sure it's linked to the right Uplay account. But if you already have your Uplay shit set up on Steam, then it's not too bad. But one thing is you need to turn off the Uplay overlay and notifications for it, which is something that can be quite annoying. And then once you turn that off, it works quite well. But there is some Uplay shit you have to deal with this game in order to get it like okay on the Steam Deck. But once you get past that, the game runs like a treat. You can get 40 at great fidelity settings, or you can go for 60 at low settings if you really want that extra 20 FPS.
Okay. I'm really happy with that because
this is a
game I want to play.
This is Steam Deck completely no verification level. Works on deck.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
think I'm running it through GE. Let me check. Compatibility. Proton GE. Yeah, so I'm running the custom Proton that I downloaded from the store. Hot Wheels Unleashed, Steam Deck verified. Put it up on the TV, runs at 60 FPS, runs like a treat. Absolutely great experience. The Hot Wheels cars look amazing, even if it is limiting the graphics fidelity at all on the Steam Deck, but I could not tell. They have this shiny plastic sheen that makes them look like little toy cars with that little depth of field effect.
Yeah.
It looks great, even on the Steam Deck. So, highly recommend Hot Wheels Unleashed. Half-Life 2. I was curious about Half-Life 2. It's Steam Deck verified.
I was going to say that shouldn't all the Valve games be verified, but
TF2's not.
TF2 isn't. Is CS:GO verified?
So here's something interesting. Let's have a look. I think so. Team Fortress. I think Counter-Strike Go might be. I'll have to double check. I don't think Half-Life 1 is Steam Deck verified, which seems like the weirdest shit ever. TF2 is playable. Half-Life 1 may be verified, but I don't think, maybe not Source. So Half-Life 1 is playable, which is the version I would play because Half-Life Source is a plague. Source is playable as well. Okay, so yeah. But I played Half-Life 2.
Not.
I was really curious because I was like, they verified this for the Steam Deck. Let's see how it runs, and yeah. It's like playing Half-Life 2 but with a controller. Again, it's a game I played on PC, and it's kind of like weird. Really feels really weird to play it with a controller because it's not something he's used to. I mean, I tried it in the dock and plugging in a mouse and keyboard, and it worked like perfectly. But again, it would be something if I really wanted to do another Half-Life 2 playthrough on the go. I would have to basically sit down and relearn how to play FPSs on a controller, sort of thing. It's not a great out-the-box experience to play FPSs on the Steam Deck for someone who doesn't play on consoles very often. At least not those sort of games. Like the games that already work very well on a touchscreen or a controller, those are the games you're going to want to play. Garfield Kart Furious Racing. Need I say more? Works out the box.
No, I don't think so.
I think. It's playable, right? Did I install a compatibility layer? Let me check. I probably just turned it on by default. Oh my god, it works natively. Wait, is there a Linux version of Garfield Kart Furious Racing, or is it just works? I have no fucking compatibility layer on here, I don't think. Yeah, I'm just running Garfield Kart Furious Racing. It just works.
It just works.
Yeah, I got it working with multiple controllers. Hades was
Hades,
one of the big games I wanted to play on the Steam Deck. My friend got it on Switch, and he was playing it, and I was like, it seems like it'd be a really good portable game, Hades. It runs like absolute butter on anything. It's a fucking amazing game. One of the big things for me was I had to basically, again, relearn all the controls with the controller because I played it on mouse and keyboard on PC, which gives you better accuracy with the range weapons, but then playing the controller you have a lot more control over dashing and stuff like that with the joysticks. So there's a trade-off there. Because I was playing this game back in December and I thought, should I play it with a mouse? It's always a dilemma when you play a game that seems like it would be good on a mouse and keyboard or a controller. And you're always like, do I play a mouse and keyboard? Do I play a controller? And I literally thought to myself, if I had a Steam Deck, I'd learn to play on a controller, but I don't have a Steam Deck, so I don't need to learn to play this on controller.
Yeah,
I'll play it with
there's
mouse
no
and
point
keyboard.
until. Yep.
And then I got a Steam Deck, and so yeah, it's pretty good. I don't remember all the buttons yet, but I played it for literally like 10 minutes. I was just going through like a bunch of controls and trying it out when I was around my sister's house. Fallout New Vegas. It is playable. I wanted to do this for the meme because I don't really have a plan to play Fallout New Vegas again.
You already completed it. Yeah, you already completed it, right?
I haven't got a plan to play it again recently. I do have a plan to play Fallout New Vegas again, do a Legion run.
Yeah.
Like see the other sides of the story and try and get all of the different endings and stuff like that. Kaiser's Legion. But you just launch it. It comes up with like one of those windows, like what graphics options do you want to run this in? It runs natively. I don't know if it's a Linux version. I don't think it has a Linux version, but you don't need to put a compatibility layer on it. And you can just run it at like the highest settings, and it just runs at 60 FPS. It's great. I put on the Fallout New Vegas radio. Had the Heartaches by the Number playing while I was going around shooting people. Great experience on the deck. I just installed it for the meme of, hey, look, if someone pulls out the Switch and like I can play Mario on my console, I can be like, I can play Mario on my console. Can you play Fallout New Vegas on your handheld device?
Yeah.
I installed.
That's one of the things about a PC, like even the handheld, like you got infinite backwards compatibility. Essentially.
Slay the Spire Downfall. Another one I really wanted to do. I don't know if I've talked about this before. Slay the Spire is one of my favorite games of all time. I have 223 hours on Steam. I have lots of hours on my mobile phone because I'm constantly playing Slay the Spire on that. And the number one thing was, man, Slay the Spire. Like I was literally the entire plane journey that I went on to Sweden. I was playing Slay the Spire on my mobile. I was just so in the zone. I was like, oh, we landed. I'll just finish this Slay the Spire run. I was like, so the mod Slay the Spire Downfall is like a complete, like almost expansion for the game in a mod. It is there's a brand new character, new items. You get to play the opposite side. So you get to play as the bosses fighting against the adventurer. It's really, really fucking cool mod. Really well made, and it's playable on Steam Deck. And from my testing, it just works. You can use a controller. You can use the touchscreen. It is a really, really good experience on Steam Deck. So you can.
This was verified, right? You said
playable.
Playable, interesting.
But it runs natively.
Yeah.
Steam, with no compatibility layer.
That's interesting. That's not been verified, then.
Well, it's not Slay the Spire. It's a mod. So.
Yeah, I know, but no, I guess
it's a mod. It's a mod with its own store page.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I just thought, like, because like the game wasn't like, and it's a mod that's like on the store page. I just thought that maybe it would transfer, but I guess not.
Well, I don't even know if Slay the Spire is like deck verified. I assume it is, but I don't know.
Playable.
It would definitely be. I would say it definitely qualify for verified. Yeah. So Slay the Spire is verified, and Slay the Spire Downfall is a version of Slay the Spire, so it should just work anyway.
I would do it. Yeah, I would just do it just work.
And the last Steam game that I have played is going to be the Steam Deck podcast. Dome Keeper. I was looking at this as one of my favorite indie games that came out. I was like, this is a perfect game.
Oh my god! Sorry, no, continue to know.
For this sort of format, I play it on a controller on my PC. And I just hit continue run from my PC, and I continue playing on my run from the PC.
Yeah, it's all synced.
It has a native. Well, okay, wait. It has a native Linux version.
Yeah.
So one really interesting thing is if a game has a native Linux version. This is something I learned from reading the. So when I continued from my run from the Windows PC that I've been playing Dome Keeper on. I launched it up on the Linux version of Dome Keeper, and it continued the progress from my Steam cloud onto the Linux version. And then I went off, and I was like, okay, cool, this works. And then it just kept coming up with, Dome Keeper's cloud sync failed to sync. I was like, what? So I looked into this. Apparently, to get like Steam Deck verified, you don't even have to make the Linux version's cloud save sync with the Windows version's cloud save. That's not a requirement from Valve.
Right.
So you can have a native Linux version of a game, but you won't be able to sync them between the two versions, potentially. Because this is another issue I ran into, because I forgot to mention this. I played Psychonauts. I've been playing Psychonauts recently from the wheel. One of my friends, Charlie, recommended Psychonauts. And I started playing it on Windows. It says I have no fucking stats on it because my internet went out like for a day 2 weeks ago. And as we all know, as I've played like a lot more Outer Worlds hours than Steam says I have, if you have no internet, Steam does not track your hours in a game if you're in the offline mode.
Despite having an app that could potentially track it and then update it. But
despite the fact that it tracks achievements while you're in offline mode, which is really dumb. Yeah, I played that for several hours. I made a character. Psychonauts, it's playable. It's not verified. Psychonauts has a native Linux version. I thought, cool. I loaded up the native Linux version. Do you want to start a new game? Because the Linux cloud save and the Windows cloud save are not synced by default. It's something you can set up. So in order for me to continue playing the Psychonauts save that I'd sunk several hours to on my PC, I had to essentially run Proton on the Psychonauts version on the Steam Deck to convince Steam to let me to basically to emulate the Windows version, and then on the Windows version I had the cloud save data so I could continue my save from my PC.
Okay.
But the thing with that is, the Windows PC version, the Proton version, I lost the controller prompts for the Steam Deck. So I only have like the keyboard prompts. So if I forget how to do something, I just have no fucking idea how to do it. It's just keyboard prompts. But the controller still works. But this is also a game from, I want to say 15, 20 years ago. And the fact that it even runs at all is like a testament on a portable handheld. It's like kind of crazy.
Yeah. That is kind of crazy.
So those are the ones I played. I'll tell you everything I downloaded quickly. I downloaded Yoku's Island Express. It's like pinball platforming. Yakuza 0, Vampire Survivors, because I was like, this is the #1 Steam Deck game apparently, so let's try it. SteamWorld Quest, Heist of the Gilgamesh, the deck building SteamWorld game. I'm a massive fan of SteamWorld. The Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Sonic Mania, Portal 2, which I have played on my brother's Steam Deck. Rounds, which would be a good local co-op thing. The Jackbox games, no-brainer. Guacamelee 2, Expender Bros, and Cat Quest. My friend Michael's always going on about Cat Quest. I was like, what a better time. Steam Deck verified, by the way. What a better time to play Cat Quest than on my Steam Deck when I'm out and about. I could play a bit of Cat Quest and finally play this game that he seems to love.
Well, one thing I feel like from the selection of stuff you both played and downloaded, I feel like even just on Steam, like it sounds like there's like a wide variety of games that like just either playable or verified, which are just.
So just quickly going over everything I tried. The #1 thing I will say about the Steam Deck is anything you would play on a controller is going to be a great out-of-the-box experience for most things.
Yeah.
Or a touchscreen as well for like the card games and stuff like that. So platformers and racing games, I played a lot of those. Those were great. Whereas FPSs were a bit of a mixed bag. Some of them ran really well. They were doing their job exactly, but I was frustrated because of the fact that it's not great on a controller because it's an FPS.
I guess if you're an FPS console player, like you'd probably be fine with it.
Valheim just fucking is the way they've got Valheim set up for Steam Deck is really good. I can't understand enough how good the deck verification for Valheim is. That they've got like custom you know, like you have a hotbar. They have that bound to like the left trackpad, so you can like quickly select something that's like really
Oh,
far on your hotbar,
nice.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really fucking useful. Like I sat down in my bed and I played Valheim for like 2 or 3 hours, and there wasn't a single time I went, "Oh fuck, I need to get up and plug in a mouse and keyboard or look up how to do this on a Steam Deck."
That's really good.
Um, so it's the Steam Deck podcast. Let's talk about Linux, and then
Okay.
let's talk about emulation. Let me show you. I need to close. I need to close Super Mario Galaxy. I was in the middle of a mission, but it's fine. I can go back and get that star. You know, one of the really cool things about Emu Deck is like a lot of the Emu Deck stuff now. Like early emulation, when I used to do it, if you didn't hit save state on anything, it would just forget everything. A lot of stuff these days, like emulators, they have like autosave, and if you close the game, it will just remember where you last were and load from that part. And even they're working on a system of cloud saves for emulation autosaves. Isn't that fucking amazing?
Crazy.
That's me gushing over emulation, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So this is the Steam Deck desktop mode. One of the things that surprised me the most was how much
It's just Windows, isn't it?
how much Linux has evolved. I used to think before Steam Deck, Linux was like, oh, only hardcore enthusiasts use Linux. You're gonna have to open a command terminal to,
Yeah.
do most things. I've been doing a lot of power user shit on the Steam Deck, and I've never opened a terminal once. The Steam Deck is using a version of Arch Linux.
Yeah.
Um, it
I
comes pre-installed with the Discover Store, which is essentially where you basically download all your flat packs.
It's like an app store, but without like it's like verified for security, and that's it. It's not like
Yeah, and then
controlled.
there's it has a file manager called Dolphin, not to be confused. If you're into emulation, not to be confused with
What?
the Wii emulator.
Yeah.
Tony, it's already got inbuilt file tabs.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're in the future. I was gonna say is like for me, for the longest time, like I always knew like Ubuntu was like the easy to use Linux operating system.
Yeah,
And it's like only like I not 2021 was like the first time I'd like really heard about Arch. I've been okay. I'm really impressed with Arch. I think obviously you didn't have to do this because it came with the Steam Deck, right? But like so even setting up is like I don't it just seems as easy as any other like
I
install.
did install a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think I just used Pi OS though, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. That's as easy as installing Ubuntu.
yeah,
Arch is only like a slightly more difficult than that, and even then, like you can just like set it to like do the defaults. I would argue from what I have seen personally, I haven't used it personally myself, but
yeah.
SteamOS seems like a really good like visual upgrade on top of Arch, like in terms of like usability, even though it's still like very base Arch, but with Steam on top of it, I suppose.
Yeah, so basically
I'm really happy with that.
you have like your battery level Bluetooth devices. You can dock and
Yeah,
undock like drives and stuff, which is something I've been doing a lot, moving
I
files over to the dock.
is that in Arch? I don't know if that's in Arch. That might be a Steam added or SteamOS added like visual with that. Like I
I
think
don't know
it's not
what's
as
Arc and
good.
what's SteamOS at this
Yeah,
point,
I would
but
have to
it's all running
ask
on top
compared.
of Linux, which means it's running
Yeah.
on Linux.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like every time you need to update something, there's a little icon at the bottom called updates, and you click on it, and it just shows you all the updates to your apps, and you just press a button, and it
Yep.
will download the updates for them. You
Yep.
don't need to go into a terminal.
No.
I will say using the desktop has been so much easier. Although some of the stuff is still pretty easy with the trackpads as an emulated mouse. Some of the emulated stuff you need to exit Steam, which means you won't have native Steam controller controls in order to
It's not. It's not active without the Steam on in the foreground.
Yeah, if you exit Steam on the desktop mode,
Yeah.
specifically for Steam ROM Manager, you need to exit Steam in order to create your ROM shortcuts. That's the point where the Steam Deck dock not only has been so fucking useful for plugging in a TV and local multiplayer gaming and big screen gaming, but every time I need to do something on the desktop, I'm immediately plugging it into the dock and I'm putting a mouse and keyboard plugged into the dock. It is so much easier. I would highly recommend the dock because you're going to be if you're anything like me. Because for me, I play games from 20, 30 years ago, and I go onto the PC Gaming Wiki and I download all of the fixes and stuff, and I tinker like crazy with my game library to get stuff running and running how I want it to run. In the beginning, I was doing more tinkering than I was playing games. I just love it's like a little puzzle device. You just get to just fuck around with stuff. But yeah,
like a challenge.
But yeah, so I installed Discord on here. I was testing out the microphone quality, and the microphone quality seemed pretty good. I was talking to my friend Jesse on Discord on the Steam Deck, and then I was like, wait, because if you go out of desktop mode and you're running something on desktop mode, it won't run it in Steam. So what you need to do is you need to add like a Steam shortcut for Discord, and then you can run multiple apps. And then that's a way to use Discord on your Steam Deck while playing games if you're using it as like a solitary device.
That sounds a bit finicky, but
it is a bit finicky, yeah.
That is one I want to I would want to see improve is
like a native Discord integration into SteamOS would be really cool.
Well, even more general that perhaps where it's Steam working with the desktop side of it without entirely quitting, maybe is what I would want.
So Lutris is a thing where it's going to be pretty interesting. It's a way to download custom. It's basically like an easy way to install custom game launchers, but then also have the compatibility layer on top of them, like Wine and Proton and stuff like that, in order to get them installed. So I used Lutris to install Battle.net. I got Overwatch 2 running, but it was a bit finicky to get it to run. I was able to, because then you want to add it as a non-Steam screen shortcut and then run it through Steam. And then I had it docked, and then I was using a mouse and keyboard to play Overwatch 2 because my computer was off at this point. It was in pieces. And I was like, I want to play mouse and keyboard Overwatch 2. I tried it with the gyro controls and it was alright. It was a bit hard to aim again FPSs on a controller. It was working fine, but I had this bug where every time I died, I was no longer able to aim the mouse. And it was consistent. It was so strange. I was alive, I could aim the mouse, I was just playing normal Overwatch, it was really cool, and then I would die, and I would have to move left and right to try and shoot at people, and I looked like a robot, probably, like a bot. And then I would die, and then it would reset. So you'll just get really fucking weird bugs because it's not natively running through Steam.
Yeah.
And that's so if you're someone like me and you play a lot of Overwatch 2 with your friends, the number one thing I would say now, Tony, if you said to me, Joe, would you switch over your main PC to Linux? My answer would be no. Right now, Linux is not a complete experience in terms of PC gaming. It's getting there. It's really good on Steam, but I do a lot of stuff off Steam, unfortunately. Especially VR's a bit strange, probably. I don't know how good VR is on Linux. I do a lot of Epic Games stuff. I do a bit of GOG stuff. I do a lot of Battle.net. I'll be really, really interested to see when the Microsoft Battle.net merger goes through, if Microsoft decides to bring the games to Steam and get how they will run through Steam, because having the Ubisoft games back natively on Steam has been very good for the Steam Deck. Even if they haven't changed fundamentally the game's compatibility, just being able to flick on that Proton layer through Steam natively is really good.
In a way, I'm more excited. I think it's like already in a fantastic spot, but in a way, I'm still like even more excited for the future because I've already
Yeah.
started to see like developers of games and services going like talking about like I think it was even like I saw Discord talk about like oh we're fixing the Linux version. Like they had a bug because like more people were using it on the deck. Like I feel like it's already started to have like an
Yeah.
effect on developers, which I think
Yeah.
is really good.
So, because there's two ways to do this. There's another way called the Heroic Games Launcher, which is another one people use. I think it has a more sleek UI,
Right.
but it's not as powerful as Lutris. So there's sort of a trade-off there. It's a lot more like user-friendly. It's got a better UI, so I'd be
Is there
interested to
anything
try
stopping
that.
you from using both and like switching between the two if you need more
No,
powerful
but you would
to
just have to essentially install
more
stuff
space?
twice.
Yeah.
So let me talk about space quickly. I got the 512 gigabyte edition with the SSD.
Yeah.
The way I've been, but I also was like, I'm gonna need more storage than that. I play a lot of fucking games. Um, the way I've been splitting it up is because the SSD performance that Valve has managed to do is fucking amazing. Like, because I've been playing a couple of games off the micro SD, sorry. And the loading time difference between a NVMe SSD and a micro SD is insane of how well Valve have optimized it.
Yeah, it's pretty similar, isn't it?
I've installed most of my Steam games on the main split is Steam games on the SD card because they benefit from SD card speeds, and then all of my ROMs are stored on my micro SD card
Yeah.
for my
Makes sense.
emulated games, which is cool because EmuDeck again super fucking cool. They now have a really really cool user interface, custom setup, and you can say where you want your ROMs to be installed. They'll go, do you want them on the micro SD? Do you want them on your internal drive, or do you want them somewhere else? And you can just click a button of 3 pictures and it will do it for you. It is so fucking.
That's good.
But I've got a terabyte micro SD, and Wii U games are fucking huge. By the way, if you're going to start playing like Wii U games, or dare I say, Switch game, those would start taking. You wouldn't play a Switch game on a.
You wouldn't download a console.
I haven't played any Switch games because that feels like a mind. All I'm going to say is I'm not going to tell you where because it's very illegal to say. It's very
Yeah.
the Steam Deck can easily run anything under a Switch, no problem.
Yeah, that's insane to me. Because like quite a lot of like consoles in my head that used to be powerful are under a Switch.
I've been playing Wii U, Game Boy, 64, PS2. I have every Ratchet and Clank game downloaded on this thing, and I've been playing a little bit of them to test them out.
Have you haven't emulated PS3 stuff yet?
No, I haven't touched PS3. I'm kind of tackling them as they come. I just went, what games? So
That's more difficult.
I'm just going to say now, because I showed Super Mario Galaxy, I own Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii. It's one of the it's one of the Nintendo games I actually bought and played and loved. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I had this in a portable form. Technically, you can play it on the Super Mario 3D All-Stars version on the Switch, but you want to hear the really funny thing is people found out that Nintendo was essentially just emulating the Dolphin version for that. So even Nintendo emulates their games. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. They should just sell they should just sell the emulation, just make money off people playing it on PC. They really should.
But yeah. Let me go to my Steam library and see if there's anything I missed. The big horse that I was struggling to tackle recently was 3DS emulation. Has not been good for me recently. I don't know if it's if it needs to be addressed in an update to the version.
Is it a weird thing where it's confused about 3DS as having 2 screens, or
no,
pushing the wrong thing?
I think I'm just going to try and download Citra, the 3DS emulator on my PC, and see if I can get the ROMs running on there, and then I'll know if it's a Steam Deck related issue.
Yeah, okay.
Or if it's a ROM issue. I've downloaded 3 different ROMs for it. I downloaded a US ROM, a Europe ROM, so it wasn't a region problem, and I downloaded a different version. Because sometimes there's different versions of a... you'll love to see it. the fucking my recently played games. Trombone Champ,
Oh.
Valheim.
I like it's just like Mario Guys who's just there as if it's like, oh, it was always there. It's always been playable.
It's always been on Steam. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah, I wanted to just isolate if it was a ROM problem, if it was a Citra problem, or was it a Steam Deck problem. Because you've got a lot of different components there. You're running it on Linux, you're running it on a Steam Deck, but you're also running custom ROMs. So
any part could be a problem, or multiple even.
Yeah, I got the Game Boy going as well. I was playing some. I own Super Mario Brothers Deluxe Game Boy. But I was emulating on my Steam Deck because I wanted to. There's no portable way to play Super Mario Deluxe, even though it's on Game Boy. But I just wanted it on my Steam Deck. So, Emu Deck. Because my brother, when he got his Steam Deck, he was like, I tried to set up emulation, I couldn't get it to work, and I was like, oh, maybe it's really hard. So I found out about Emu Deck, and I was like, and it was one of the easiest things I've ever done. You go to the Emu Deck website. They have this great video guide. I really recommend watching Retro Games Corpse's emulation guide. He is this tutorial is super fucking useful. The UI is so good now, where essentially, it just goes, "Hey, what emulators do you want? What aspect ratio do you want your games to display in? Do you like having bezels on your screen for for example, for me, for my Game Boy games, I don't want to stretch them out to weird res, so I have them in 4:3, and then I have these bezels that emulate what a Game Boy looks like. So it has a little power LED on it that looks really cool. I was like, I like that. Then, so you essentially go through all these steps. I have a Retro Achievements account. Retro Achievements is integrated into any game that runs on RetroArch. So I was earning Super Mario 64 achievements while I was playing Super Mario 64 on my Steam Deck. You make a Retro achievement account, which we talked about in the podcast before, and essentially it adds achievements to your older games as an optional feature, which I think is really, really cool. You can add CRT shaders. You can add you can choose different themes for your emulation station. So there's two ways you access your games. So once you set this all up, you then add all your ROMs into your folders. So there'll be a Wii folder for your Wii games, 64 folder for your 64 games. You then go onto Steam ROM Manager and you create what's called a parser. And then you essentially select which games you want to have shortcuts for. So you say, I want to see Wii games. I want to see. I want to have all of my Wii U games available. I want to have all of my Game Boy games available. Essentially, there's also a thing you can do called Emulation Station. So if you don't want all of every single, let's say you have 200 ROMs, and you're like, I don't want 200 ROMs in my Steam library. It categorizes them by emulator, and it's a really sleek interface. I like it, but you can basically say, I only want to see the games. I'm only really going to play Wii games a lot, so let's just show Wii games, and everything else I won't see. You create a parser for Emulation Station, and essentially that will just be a non-Steam app on your Steam Deck, and you click on it, and it'll go into this UI, and it'll have all of your ROMs on there, and you can select through all of them, so it won't consume your Steam library. So that's another thing you can do. I don't have that too many ROMs. I probably have 20, 25, something like that. I just have them all on Steam. But the way Steam does it, I'll show you. It just sorts them into. This is when you need to turn off Steam, but essentially, what it does is it sorts all your emulators into their own little thing. So you can basically go into your emulator settings through Steam and just change your settings, and then you have a collection for each of your different so there's my PlayStation 2 collection. I click on that, then there's every single Ratchet and Clank game and the Simpsons Hit and Run. But yeah, I really like the way it works, and you just click on it, and it just natively runs through Steam. And I haven't really had any problems other than the 3DS. I will say, like, Wii is probably the easiest to set up. PlayStation 2, I just worked. No, Nintendo 64 just worked, no problem.
I know, like, PS2 and before were pretty easy.
Game Boy just worked.
Relatively.
I was so surprised when I was not downloading Nintendo 64 ROMs, because the thing with Nintendo 64 ROMs is they're like, Super Mario 64 is like 5 megabytes. Let that sink in. Super Mario 64 is 5 megabytes.
In total.
The Legend of Zelda is like 20 megabytes.
It kind of explains the graphics, really, doesn't it?
You want to play Pokemon on your Steam Deck? That's a couple of kilobytes you're going to need for that.
Couple hundred or just a couple?
Not sure, but
it
just surprised me how small games were, and then you get to like the Wii U, and it's like, oh fuck, games are starting to get big again.
Wait, so what's the average size on the Wii U?
So like 20, something like 10, 20 gigabytes, something like that.
Gigs, okay.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Wii U games, and then I have the updates for some of them downloaded as well, which is something you can do. And I think my Wii U folder is like 120 gigabytes, something like that.
That's pretty big, yeah. Okay. I mean, compared to Nintendo 64...
So I said there was 10, so that's about 12 gigabytes per game average, right?
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. It's not even it's 12 times 10.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so for some of the like downloading Wii is really easy because you just download it, but like some of them require BIOS files, which you will have to source yourself because emulators can't include them, because they're copyrighted BIOS files.
Is it like it will only run like on a certain BIOS? It's like to check the hardware sort of.
So some BIOS files are required if you want. So let's say you're playing on a Game Boy and you want it to load. You know the ding Game Boy logo.
Yeah.
If you want that, that's copyrighted. You need to get a BIOS to have that to work, right?
You need to rip it from the one you own.
Rip it from your copy that you own, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that, you don't need to have the logo. It just won't be there. Some of these require BIOS files. I'm trying to remember. I think the Wii U required BIOS files. I think PS2 said it needed some, but I'm not sure. I installed PS2 BIOS files, but I don't know if it needed them in the end. Your mileage may vary. I know Switch is really fucking hard because you need like a custom keys folder for like your games and stuff like that. They stepped up their DRM when it came to the Switch.
Yeah,
it will shock you how easy it is to get some of these games though, and some of the methods people use to take their legally owned ROMs and put them onto their device.
Yeah.
But yeah. One of the really, really cool things, so I'll try and wrap this up because I could keep going forever because there's so much to talk about with the Steam Deck. One of the things that you can optionally install with the Emu Deck, which I would recommend doing, is a thing called Power Tools. And I would not fuck around with this if you have no idea what you're doing. But essentially, it allows you custom settings for everything. You can turn down your threads that that the APU is using. You can turn off odd number cores. You can put frequency limits on your GPU. You can put limits on your you can downclock memory. Yeah, it essentially gives you access to everything. And the reason this is really important for stuff like emulation is like for the Wii especially, Wii emulation is super CPU bound in terms of performance. So one thing you want to do is, and CPU for the Wii was individual core performance, right? It wasn't lots of cores like we have in modern processors.
Yeah. You want a
So one thing you want to
single
do
thread.
is, because the Steam Deck has an inherently stronger RDNA GPU APU, but it has a weaker Zen 2 CPU. So one thing you can do is you can downclock your GPU natively through the profiles tab. The profile tabs for each game is really fucking cool. That you can have individual profile settings. So like, I want to run at 40 FPS at 40 hertz. I want to run at 60 FPS at 60 hertz. I want to run at a 30 FPS cap at 60 hertz, for example. That's really fucking cool. You can downclock your GPU by default. But what stuff like Power Tools allows you to do is it allows you to turn off SMT, so odd number cores, and then you set your threads to 3, and then this allows you to run Wii games at like full speed efficiently with like no problems. It's really, really fucking cool that you can do this.
That's
And you
cool.
can even,
Yeah.
but even with the, if say for example you were playing a CPU bound game, what's like a CPU bound game? Like if you're playing like Factorio or something, you could use this to make Factorios run better on your Steam Deck. It's not just for emulation, which is the really cool thing.
Yeah.
But the really, really cool thing about this, and I'm going to keep saying really, really cool thing because there's so many fucking cool things with the Steam Deck. It essentially installs this custom app called Decky, and essentially what that does is it lets you add apps inside SteamOS, so you can access them quickly without having to exit your game and go to the desktop mode and do something. And some of the ones I've got downloaded, so Power Tools, super fucking useful, especially for emulation. SteamGrid DB. So I've used SteamGrid DB a lot in the past. It's what EmuDeck uses when it sets up its parsers and it scans your ROMs, and it uses SteamGrid. You remember Nintendo like copystriped SteamGrid DB because they kept uploading.
Yeah.
People kept uploading images for running emulation, and Nintendo was like, "We don't want you to do this." So people uploaded more. But yeah, like some, you know how in your Steam library, I don't know. So if you're not like me, the way I use my Steam library is I'm a big fan of posters. So posters are just like these big long pieces of art. I browse my library by pictures. I'm a very, very visual guy when it comes to this sort of stuff. I love seeing just the giant tiles, and it helps me go, oh, I want to play that. I want to click on that. Especially if you have older games, they will not be updated to have their posters on them. So what I do is I find one that doesn't have a poster, I click on it, and I manage and I set custom artwork. I go, I want you to use this image instead. How do you find the image of a poster? It doesn't exist. No, the official developer hasn't made it. You go to SteamGrid DB, you download the image, and you set it. What the SteamGrid DB app allows you to do is it allows you to just click on the game. You then go to, it then adds a setting into the SteamOS that says change artwork. It then goes to the SteamGrid DB website with the game ID, and it goes, oh, yeah, here's the posters for that game. And then you just click on them, and it changes it. It is so fucking useful.
I've seen a lot of these, like, I guess, scanned in from, like, box art and things, like, from back in the day. But
people make art for these games. So many people, old games that you wouldn't think that anyone would be playing. Every single game, because when I launched the Steam Deck, not every single game had a poster. Every single game in my Steam library on my Steam Deck has a poster, and I got them from SteamGrid DB.
Yeah,
and it is so easy to do. I would highly recommend SteamGrid DB. I got another app. Deck settings. It essentially goes through all your installed games, and you can essentially just click on any game. You click on it, and it just gives you like people's pre-made deck settings inside the UI. It goes, so for Fallout New Vegas, it goes, it shows you like what wattage they're running the battery at, and it just goes, this is the resolution, this is the FPS, this is how much battery life you're going to get with these settings, and it allows you like quickly change around your settings in order for whatever FPS or battery life you want to get out of it. Super fucking useful. Again, I said there's a way to... Steam Proton DB is super useful for knowing if a game is actually playable on the Steam Deck. There's an app on the App Store of Decky that implements Proton DB scores natively into the Steam library. So you can look at things at a glance and go, oh, it works on Steam. When you're playing games on your Steam Deck, they'll appear on Steam, but Discord won't pick them up because you're not playing them on your computer. Someone's made a third-party app that adds rich presence Discord statuses to Discord when you're playing on your Steam Deck. There's so many fucking useful things on here, which I'm just like... And I wouldn't have ever known about Decky if I hadn't installed EmuDeck and installed Power Tools, which is one of the easiest ways to install Decky.
Okay.
So highly recommend that.
So yeah, again, another like passionate community kind of not saving, but like really enhancing the experience.
Yeah. Let's wrap things up. Portability. People have complained about the battery life in the past. I was a bit worried about it because I've heard it was only about 1 to 2 hours. It depends what games you're playing and if you're willing to play them at. For example, 2D games, you can play them a lot longer, 6 to 8 hours. If you want to run like Valheim at like good settings, that's only going to last you like 1 or 2 hours, right? Because it would be an intensive game. But it really just depends what you want to do and how long you're going to be playing on the device. If you know you're going to be on a long flight, you can just play something that's lighter. You can downclock your CPU or GPU. You can go 40 FPS instead of 60. You can use, you can have a less bright screen. You can even, with Decky, you can even install like full custom UI overhauls for the entire Steam library that I've seen people use, which I think is really cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
Portability. So I haven't had a huge problem with the battery life. I bought a custom battery, portable battery to plug it into, like an Anker one, like the biggest one you could get that will still allow you to go on a plane.
Yeah.
And I've been using that a little bit. The thing is, I haven't used it too much outside the house because I either have my dock and my charger and I plug it in, or I've been trying to play it in the car because I was like, that's a good time to play in the deck because you'll be out and you've got nothing to do as a passenger in the car. I'm not driving in the car. That would be a bad idea. And I'm someone who gets motion sick. I get motion... So if I'm sitting in the car, normally, looking at the road, no motion sickness. If I'm sitting in the car watching a movie or a TV show, no motion sickness. If I read anything on my phone or or a book or something, I'll get motion sick. So I was really curious to see what would happen if I tried playing on the Steam Deck while in the car. And my experience so far has been motion sickness. So right now, I don't think I'm going to play the Steam Deck in as a passenger in the car because it's making me feel sick. I was hoping maybe I'll try more. I'm not sure. I was hoping maybe if I did it enough, I could adapt to the motion sickness.
Yeah, apparently the thing to do is like as soon as you feel sick, stop.
You have to stop. So the thing,
you keep trying to go, it makes it worse.
I've done motion sickness stuff with VR in the past, and the best thing you can do is as soon as you start to feel motion sick, you need to stop and not do anything that will cause you to be motion sick for 20 minutes. And because it takes 20 minutes for your brain to get back to like a learning state. And then after that 20 minutes, you can try again. But if you try immediately again, your brain won't learn anything.
No. And it's stuck in like there's something's wrong mode.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to in the past couple of weeks. I've just been playing the Steam Deck like a mad lad and tinkering on the Steam Deck like a mad lad. It's only used up an hour and 20 minutes of the podcast, but how have you been, Tony?
Well, I kind of want to get a Steam Deck. I'm just looking at the prices, and I still want an excuse to get a Steam Deck, but I just don't have one. So I just think they're really cool.
Yeah.
I guess you know what? Maybe if I don't want to re-emulate on my PC. I know that's kind of weird, but
that's something I should mention. really got into emulation on my PC at all, even though
It just doesn't feel right.
I would have been able to run all these games at higher FPSs, higher resolutions on my PC because it's more powerful. Yeah. I just never did. But I did on the Steam Deck. For whatever reason, having a little portable device was appealing to me.
It's the Linux effect. It makes you want to tinker.
Oh, there it is, the Linux effect. I love tinkering. It's great.
Yeah. And I think
I've had the Steam Deck for like 2 to 3 weeks. My current thoughts on it, I highly recommend it to anyone who likes PC gaming, with the side note of has to be okay with a bit of tinkering now and again.
Yeah.
Would not recommend
this.
This is not your friend's first gaming PC.
No.
But
I think you could try and convince someone who's like, I only play consoles. Like, yeah, but why don't you just give it a try? Like, I've got my Steam Deck here. Why don't you just give it a try?
Yeah.
That's always something you can do. You can't really do it with a PC.
I played on my brother's Steam Deck and I was like, this fucks. So
yeah.
And you can have a go on it the next time I see you, and you can give it a go.
And then I'll immediately buy one, and it will spread.
There it is. The Steam Deck disease is spreading.
Yeah. That's why it's number one selling on the Steam store, because it's just like word of mouth, I suppose, or like
everyone's like touch? Steam Decks are available. Also, it just launched in Asia as well.
That's huge. Okay.
So you can now get it in like really Japan and Hong Kong and all those great places. So, where is it? Let's have a look. Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. Yeah, so available there, which is cool. Should we go into some news quickly?
I mean, if you want.
Yeah, we can do a bit of news.
Do you want to do news?
Trailers. SteamWorld build. So we got a Thunderful games. So if you don't know, Image Games, Image Informed Games in 2020 merged into Thunderful Games. So when I say Thunderful Games, and I'm talking about SteamWorld games, just know that Thunderful developed is now Image Informed, the guys behind all the SteamWorld games.
Right. Okay.
This is a Tony game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, this is great.
so Thunderful here is going, you know what? Every time we make a new SteamWorld game, we make an entirely fucking different genre. Why don't we make a town building mining
with
management game?
Keeper mining. Oh my god.
You know what? I think the game that came out the most recently that kind of reminds me of was that Evil Genius 2, I think it was. It kind of reminds me of that.
Is that one like Evil Base thing?
Where you manage like 2 different layers, where you have like a casino or something at the top, and then underneath you have like
the
your
front
workers.
And then the secret side.
But I've always loved the atmosphere and the story of SteamWorld games, where they always have this great mix of, kind of this steam cowboy aesthetic, where it's all about mining resources and farming oil and fighting bug monsters. It seems like, because there's always bug monsters in these games.
That's like the desert side, right? There's like.
I've said in the past. I think SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of the best games of all time.
Right.
Definitely one of the best Metroidvania games. One of the best SteamWorld games. I've played the shit out of SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2. I absolutely adore those games. I have not played the deck builder one yet, but I'm very excited to try it. I would try the heist game as well. I want to try that as well. But I think this is the first one I'm looking at and I'm going, this looks really cool, but it's not in a genre that I would usually ever play.
Right.
So either I would... I kind of still want to try it because I just love SteamWorld so much, but it's not something I'm going to buy at like a high price. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it because I'm not sure I would like it. But I definitely think, looking at this, I'm like, this is right up your alley, sort of thing.
Yeah, it looks amazing. This is the best one.
Yeah, really, really cool. awesome to see that they just keep releasing games from different genres. They're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just release it from a completely different genre.
That's such an interesting concept. They must have like an eclectic.
Speaking of releasing a game from a completely different genre, did you see the Microsoft like Direct conference where they announced a couple of game stuff?
I didn't watch that in the end. No,
there wasn't much. It was like there was the one big announcement which was Hi-Fi Rush. So this is from the creators of The Evil Within, who then went on to make Ghostwire Tokyo. So they made like a third-person horror survival game. They were like, no, we're going to make a Japanese FPS game with like weird spirits. And they're like, no, wait. We're now going to make an action game that syncs to the beat with 2D animation assets to it. Like
it looked, the 2D animation looks really good.
I'm like, is Tango Gameworks trying to give Thunderful developers a run for their money when it comes to
maybe
just keep developing different games from different genres every time? Immediately, I'm watching this and knowing that Microsoft bought Bethesda in the past, because this is a Bethesda-owned studio. This feels like the Games Pass effect. It feels like Tango Games Work went, we're going to make something weird that we've never made before. It's going to be a completely new IP. Can we do this? And it's like, well, we have Games Pass now, so it's not as important to just sell tons of copies.
Yeah.
You can do something weird, and we can take that risk because we have Games Pass. It's a game to put on Games Pass, and if people really like it, then they really like it, sort of thing. Which I think is really cool. I think this game looks really fun, and they essentially were like, they showed the trailer, and they're like, it's out now. So this game's out now. Like, you can play it right now.
Oh, dancing really cool. Minigame. Hang on.
But yeah, I think this game looks really cool. There wasn't much of like new games. It was essentially this new game was the big surprise, and then it was like, here's some more. We got some more gameplay from Redfall, which still looks really cool. And there was like ESO stuff. Starfield is having its own separate show, so we'll get to talk about everyone's favorite game when we see more gameplay.
It needs its own show.
Delays, cancellations of announcement. Trackmania is coming back to Steam. It was exclusive to Ubisoft, to Epic from Ubisoft for a while. Watch Dogs Legions came back to Steam recently. It's got mixed reviews. What are people saying? People are saying it doesn't run well. It's kind of boring. Yeah, that seems right. One of the big ones that's still missing from the Ubisoft mass exodus back to the unexodus. What's the opposite of an exodus? Re-entry.
Yeah, you're entering, I suppose.
Back to Steam is Far Cry 6, which is still an Epic Games Store exclusive. So I don't know if there's some sort of Epic Games exclusive contract they've signed, or they're
Remergence?
just like
Emergence?
they're waiting to bring it back. We'll have to wait and see. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, is now available on Steam and playable on Steam Deck. Apparently, I do not own this, so I cannot test it out.
Thank God, the inferior non-definitive edition.
And if, like me, you saw this and you thought, have they fixed this game yet? The answer is no. It is still got a lot of post-launch issues that are lingering on. Since
I actually saw I saw recently people saying like it's much better actually to take the original games and mod them than it is to try and fix these games.
Which they took down from the Steam store.
Yeah.
Which you can't get anymore.
So you better not pirate it.
No, Tony, because you can't get the original games on Steam, but you can buy them from the Rockstar Launcher store.
Well, thank goodness. Don't we both own them on Steam still, though?
I own all of the original copies on Steam.
Yeah.
But I was looking at this and I went, if I get them on here, then I'll be able to play on my Steam Deck. And I'm like, I don't even want to play the GTA games. Why am I thinking about buying them? I already own the GTA games.
Yeah.
Fashion Police Squad is coming to consoles February 2nd, so that's any day now. It's a couple of days. Fashion Police Squad, an amazing, one of my favorite fucking FPSs from this. It's literally the FPS, guys. It's literally an FPS.
It's the real FPS. What FPS really stands for.
But this game is a love letter to boomer shooters, and it's fucking hilarious, but also has super tight controls.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool
I
game.
love the concept.
Releases. Golfy was released on the 19th of January. It's like the roguelike deck building mini golf game. It seems to have got like really mixed reviews. People are saying like basically there's like a power shot card and it basically discourages you from building anything else. The game is my experience from like playing the demo was it was really fucking hard. And it seems
Right.
like a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's like really hard and you're kind of forced into building the deck one way, which isn't great to see, but hopefully this gets ironed out a bit. Forspoken came out on the 24th of January. This has taken some mixed reviews. I wanted to talk about this one because it's the first game to use direct storage at all on PC.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to see. I saw some like preliminary benchmarks, and it seems like direct storage didn't make a huge impact on loading times. I don't know if you've seen anything about this.
I've not like looked. I just saw like what people were like reporting. I didn't see like the in-depth stuff at all.
Let's have a look.
Do you think this is like first
So
attempt
look,
or problems?
according to the Verge, you can see load times improved by 30% or more, but how GPU decompression might help in games like Forspoken isn't clear
Well,
yet. We'd like to see
I,
improvements in
I
certain
have
areas.
I have a genuine question. What are the actual what are the actual times between like on and off?
So like
Because that's more important.
0.472 seconds with it off and with it on, and then 0.9.7 seconds with it off.
Is that maybe why we're not seeing an improvement? Because it's already
Yeah, it's doing it on
quite
such a
low.
small scale that it's not.
Normally, this is very important for like a really large like texture and like LODs and like combined textures and things and models.
Hmm. It seems like it's not having an FPS impact. That was another thing where it was going to leverage GPU power to load game assets.
Yeah, you could stream it without having to CPU ban. It sounds to me like it's like a first attempt. It's not like using like the full
But it seems
technology.
like people aren't. Because one of the things people are like, well, if you're going to. Because, like, for example, with like GPU scheduling, I don't know if you know about GPU scheduling, but it's something I've been looking at recently where through Windows you can turn on GPU scheduling, which allows you to take a CPU bound game and then take some of the bigger tasks and load them on your GPU to take load off the CPU. So if you're CPU bound, so if you have like a low to mid range PC, for example, and you're playing a game that's very CPU bound, you might want to turn on GPU scheduling, and it'll take the brunt of the force off the CPU, and it'll increase your FPS overall.
One thing I saw is like if you've only upgraded your graphics card recently, like maybe turn it on because you might be CPU bound. But this will help it massively. But if you're not CPU bound, wouldn't recommend turning it on. Is what I saw.
I can tell you who's CPU bound.
It.
Anyone who owns a 4090.
Yeah,
because that card's
100%.
a fucking behemoth. But I think with the utilization, you also need like 100% CPU utilization. Otherwise, it's not gonna be worth it.
Yeah. That's the thing. And it has some other like it can have.
But it seems like having direct storage on hasn't made people take any like FPS performance loss.
Yeah, it's just not like taxing the GPU in such a way that's like hampering performance.
Some people...
no, I'm assuming this is like first step sort of thing here.
Some people are reporting there's like that it's making an FPS difference. Some people think it might load faster. It just doesn't seem to. I'm gonna wait until the Digital Foundry Forspoken PC port video comes out, and then I can say for sure. I've watched the one on the PS5 version, and the PS5 version runs like a dream.
In a way, like comparing this the PC version to the console version would be even more important than like a normal.
They just released their Dead Space one today. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dead Space is looks like the space horror game that everybody wanted. It's insane that EA managed to do a good on that one.
Who was the devs behind that one? That was the Oh, I can't.
They're called a Visceral. Is the ones who
Visceral.
did.
That was it. Yeah.
Are we talking about? So, Tony, we're going to have to say now:
Yeah.
Dead Space 2008 or Dead Space 2023.
I was just gonna call one Dead Space, the other one Dead Space Definitive Edition.
Motive Studio did the 2023 one.
Right, Motive.
And they're basically like
What
they're a support studio that works
yeah,
on
they're
like
the porting ones before.
Battlefront 2, Star
Yeah.
Wars Squadrons, Iron Man game.
So they're very technical based then.
We can go to that one. Dead Space it came out a couple of days ago. It seems very positive from what I've seen. People, because I played Dead Space for the first time earlier this year, and I basically said
So
the game's amazing, but there's weird like aged stuff on it where it runs in an older DirectX engine that like you're limited by how much FPS you can get out of the game because of the engine.
Doesn't have checkerboard rendering as well and things. It's like
mouse acceleration is fucked in this game. In Dead Space 2008. Which makes it really annoying to use. Which is why I was like, if you literally just put it in a new engine and you got rid of these small annoyances, but essentially made the same game but with better graphics, it would be amazing because the game's already amazing.
If I bought and played this game, this would be the first time I played Dead Space on PC. That's weird.
There it is.
I've only ever played it on console.
But yeah, this looks really cool. I'm very happy to see that the Dead Space game is doing so well, given the kind of like mixed reviews the Callisto Protocol got, because I was a bit worried about the space horror genre.
Yeah.
Because we've been seeing a lot more like space horror games recently, so it's good to see that Dead Space is doing well and people seem to be enjoying it.
I mean, Callisto Protocol looks great on console.
Not
on PC.
Yeah. To wrap up Forspoken, mixed reviews. Some people think it's like an average game, but it has some interesting technological stuff in it. I'm not a big fan of it because it's made by Squeenix and it's very fucking expensive. That's one reason I'm not that into it.
It looks like a very Squeenix narrative as well.
I'm not a big fan of like these open world games that Squeenix do, or like I'm not a huge fan of open world games in general these days. But yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about the technology because it is the first direct storage game. Oh god, I just loaded 50 trailers at once.
You know what? I'm curious to see this because I assume like other devs are going to be like looking at other games that know more about this. Like I'm curious to know like will this give them more information to improve their game?
On the 26th January, Pizza Time came out.
Pizza Time. Wait, what?
Pizza Time came out.
Pizza Time.
You don't know, this is essentially a spiritual successor to Wario 4. And
oh right.
If you've never played a Wario game, it's sort of a little bit like Sonic is probably the closest thing to compare it to. It is very much precision, fast-paced platforming, where it's all about like maintaining speed sort of thing. But I've seen some reviews on this and it's very positive. It looks really fucking fun. And I'm very excited to try this. It's Steam Deck verified, I believe. It looks like a great game for the deck. But yeah. Or at least I know it runs on the deck. I don't know if it's verified. But yeah, tight controls, fast and fun. I feel like with this game, it's going to be one of those games where you're going to look at it and you're going to go, what the fuck is happening? But then you're going to play it and it's going to be like, oh, this finally makes sense now, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I really want to try this game. It looks really, really cool. And it seems to be really positively reviewed. Then I watched, when the review video I watched, they said basically, essentially you go through the level once, and you get collectibles and secrets and stuff, and when you get to the end of the level, a timer starts, and then you have to like run back through the entire level again to get to the entrance before the timer runs out, and that's like the speed run part. And if you don't make it in time before the time runs out, you have to do the level again.
That's crazy, okay.
But it's like, so basically you go into a level, you learn the layout, and then it's like, now do it again, but fast, but backwards.
But backwards, yeah.
Yeah. The reviewer I watched, he said he played the entire game, and I think he said he maybe failed to speedrun to the level once. So I don't know how many. I don't think it would be too hard, but it depends how good at platforming you are, I guess. And then Power Chord. I'd never heard of this game until I was looking through the Steam releases, and I was like, "What the fuck is Power Chord?" It looks like Slay the Spire, but with weapons, and it seems like it is a roguelite deck builder with rock weapons as your cards. But it seems like it's got mixed reviews right now. There's only 45 people who've played it.
What percentage of mixed review? Like, if you hover over mix, was it say the percentages?
66% are positive.
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's definitely a roguelite deck building game. That's the first sentence of this recommendation. As mentioned in the About the Game section, the devs are a big fan of STS. To be honest, not a fan. Darkest Dungeon I enjoyed, need to play more of, and Monster Train, lots of fun. This game is a sweet, sweet blend between those games. The result's pretty awesome. This is somewhat tentative, so I really don't think a lot of the character design aesthetic carries the game a long way. Unfortunately, the combat ends up feeling very samey, even just 6 hours in. I'm a bit worried that it's just going to lean on its aesthetic, because aesthetically it looks fucking cool. But the problem is it's not that easy to make a roguelite deck builder. I mean, Slay the Spire is like a masterpiece of roguelite deck building, but I played a game recently on the wheel called The American Circus, and it was essentially Slay the Spire, but you're running a circus, and the combat and the cards you drew and put in your deck, it was just so fucking boring. It was so boring, and I was like, this must have came out in like 2014, like years ago. And I looked at it, and it's like came out like a couple of years ago, and I was like, no wonder I never heard of this before, because it was just so forgettable, that game. And I'm worried when I see a game of like a similar vein that's got mixed reviews. Hopefully, there's something enough in there to get people to come back and play it, and the devs put in more updates to make people happy. But we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Don't worry, Tony, we'll go into quick news now.
Just a quick one.
Blizzard survey indicates potential Warcraft 3 Reforged relaunch. Maybe I should have put this in the Blunders section. You remember how Warcraft 3 Reforged?
Oh, yeah.
You remember how Warcraft Reforged launched, and it launched without the basic features of Warcraft 3, like custom campaigns, global custom game clans, like the rank system was just missing from Warcraft 3, and it was just like, where the fuck is this? They've demastered the game.
Yeah.
But essentially they put out a player survey saying they would take all the original features from the original version of the game and then remaster them and then potentially relaunch the game. It's like a soft relaunch, so I don't think you wouldn't buy it again, but they were like, Warcraft Reforged 1.0, we're re-releasing it again, sort of thing. It should be interesting to see. I mean, I bought Warcraft Reforged because I wanted to play through the campaign in HD, and that's what I did. And it was fine for that for me. I didn't play the whole thing, I just played the Undead campaign, I think, and a bit of the Human campaign. But I played a couple of custom games on it as well, and custom games work fine. But I do think it is a shame that it released in such a state where people probably aren't going to give it a second chance. Maybe a soft relaunch would make people give it a second chance. Who knows?
I think people still want it to work, and I think they'll give it. I think they'll give it a chance.
4A Game Studios studio update, introducing Exodus SDK. This is so fucking awesome. Metro Exodus has created a custom engine for modders to make new content for the game. Free for all Metro Exodus owners. So this is sort of like Red Engine for CD Projekt Red. This is shit you don't see anymore. By the way, all of the fucking devs for Metro are Ukrainian, and half of them are fighting in a war right now. This is insane.
I think I think they might have gone, or some of them got to Malta and stuff, but yeah, a lot of them I think stayed.
And it looks like League of Legends source code has been leaked and up for sale online.
Another source code. I don't get it.
So,
What is going on?
Apparently, Riot Games were a victim to a social engineering attack. So it seems like either there was
As
like
all
a
of them are.
physical entry into the building, or
Yep.
it was like leaked through an email or a phishing or something like that.
Well, normally the social stuff is like they use like they get it from one of the main devs and like gain access to their account.
They stated that they were being extorted for 10 million. In order to not leak this, Riot Games did the right thing. They said the only way to stop blackmail is to not give in to blackmail, and the source code has gone online, is now up for sale. This is very bad for players of League and Valorant and Riot Games themselves, because the anti-cheat for Valorant and League of Legends is inside the source code. So this would be a massive blow to people cheating on those games.
Yeah, they're gonna have to try and fix stuff that then gets broken from people understanding.
So this is not a blunder, because obviously, I guess it's a blunder for the social engineering, but it's like it's unlucky. It's like you'd hate to see it to happen to any game studio. It's not something you would blame them for.
It's been a trend over the last 4 years, and it's just gone really bad in the last couple of years. And obviously, security needs to be better, but yeah, it does feel bad.
Blunders. We talked about this last time. I talked about High on Life and some Justin Roiland accusation stuff. But Justin Roiland has resigned from Squanch Games, the developer of High on Life, due to the ongoing legal allegation battle against him. So this is something that's related to the gaming part of High on Life. Factorio increased the base price of Factorio from $30 to $35, and they said this is adjustment to account for the level of inflation since the Steam release in 2016. Now, I like Factorio. I haven't played it, but I own Factorio and I bought it on the Humble Store because it never goes on sale.
Very good.
But this is the sort of shit where if a company with a game that I didn't like did this, I would call them out immediately and say they're fucking scumbags, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta give even though I like Satisfactory, I gotta say, not Satisfactory, Factorio. I'm reading the Twitter thread, and Satisfactory is saying to increase the price. I love Satisfactory as well, which is why I bought Factorio. Factorio has increased the price, and I've got to call out Factorio and say, I don't think you can increase the price of your game.
No. Well, here's
retroactively.
Here's the
because
thing.
Because of inflation.
Technically, like inflation and aid, the fact you're keeping it the same but never decreasing the price takes into effect that it's an aging game and newer stuff now exists. Like that makes sense to me, that the value is increasing without you having to do anything. Trying to match, index link it to inflation is stupid, in my opinion.
Usually what happens with games is as time goes on, they get cheaper. One,
or they say the same
and two,
get cheaper.
They go on sale at bigger and bigger discounts. Factorio never goes on sale, and it's never got cheaper. Okay, next point. I think it's okay to increase the price of a game if it released in an early access state, and it's gone from an early access state to a fully released state, which is what happened with Factorio. It went from costing $20 to $25 when it released from early access or something like that. It's now gone, you know what? Everyone's prices have gone up because of inflation. We're going to increase the price.
Yeah, even though to them they haven't.
I think
what I understand is surely
fine.
Keeping it the same would have helped more people, and surely they've made a lot of money off of it already, and they're not having to store physical copies.
It's not even with I caught up Oculus on this shit because they did this with the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
But they have, even though I think it was an awful idea. They have they have physical hardware that is massively increasing in pricing.
Yeah.
This is a
they
digital
have to actually
game.
Manufacture new ones.
the cost of Factorio has not increased.
No.
How much you're charging for Factorio has increased.
Yeah.
Which is the fucked up
It doesn't make
part.
any sense.
I think this is a dumb move, but we'll have to see. Because I don't see. Have many people called them out on this? Because it seems like people are pretty positive about this, at least from the Twitter thread.
I don't know. No idea. I would say there is a bias of people who follow these people or follow these accounts because they obviously like it, so they're more willing to support them. So I just whether or not that's mass outcry, I don't know. But yeah, I'm to me that's a big oof.
It just feels like the first of time, and whenever I see the first time of something happening, it always worries me that people are going to follow suit. It worried me with Oculus headsets when a released product was increasing in price 2 years after it's been released. It worries me when a fully released full game is out and is increasing in price. Not to say this is necessarily a bad thing, but it could lead to a lot more games going, you know what, we're not going to increase the discount sale on our price.
We're
going to increase the price of our game. It's getting better over time. It's like a fine wine.
It's a bad precedent, yeah.
I don't know if you know about this game. The days before, it's the most wishlisted game on Steam.
What the hell is this?
I know this is the most wishlisted game on Steam, and I looked at it and I was like, this looks like fucking vaporware. There is no gameplay for this. It's most wishlisted for no reason whatsoever.
But what's the seller? What's it trying to be? What's people going? Oh, wow, that looks great. What?
It's like a survival MMO sort of game. I think.
Okay, so it's a survival. Okay, that makes sense. Why? Yeah. Okay. So people are imagining what they want it to be and not.
Yeah, it's a survival online multiplayer game set in a post-apocalyptic America with zombies.
Yeah, people are still hankering after that.
People want another DayZ.
They want a better one. That's the thing.
But apparently, the days before lead Discord mod, who earlier announced the upcoming gameplay reveal, has said that they now wonder if the game is real. They also confirmed that the mod team have not seen any gameplay from the game. It was the most pushed game on Steam. The game was delisted from Steam, and the people went to the Steam forum page, which usually still exists even when store pages get taken down from the community hub, and people were like, what's going on? Why has the game been delisted from Steam? It was the most wishlisted game on Steam. A fantastic representative claimed the page was experiencing a minor technical difficulty that should be resolved during Steam maintenance. It was not. Right. Steam maintenance came back. The game's still delisted from Steam. Guys, it's starting to look like a vaporware situation here with the day before. The day before.
Do you think it's like a vaporware thing, and they started in more people than they thought they should?
I've got the gameplay, but it goes to another school. You wouldn't know it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Scam was too successful, and now they can't scam.
Apparently, apparently, I was looking at releases for next week or next month. Atomic Heart is coming out in February, so that's going to be another really interesting one to watch because we've seen more from that game. But that game, from behind the scenes, according to sources, seemed like an absolute colossal dumpster fire of showing images of stuff that doesn't exist. So
and they have to remake it to those images. Yeah,
I'd be really interested to see how that one launches. Fat Shark, the CEO, the creators of Darktide, published an apology to Warhammer 4000 Darktide community. Basically said it was unacceptable the way the game launched. It's going to focus on feedback on the completing the crafting system, making more rewarding progression loops, continue to work on the game stability, and they're also going to delay the Xbox launch of the game. Which they've been doing repeatedly. I feel like they've delayed this Xbox launch 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
To be honest, because they even said, you know what, guys, will also suspend the upcoming release of premium cosmetics. You know what?
Oh,
We
wow.
won't put in the
You know they're
premium
serious
cosmetics
now.
before we fix any of the issues. We'll actually fix the issues with the game. I feel like this game was in like beta. Everyone was like, "This game's really cool." Everyone's playing like crazy. Everyone was like, "It's really like early access and unfinished." And then they got bored of it because it was super unfinished and was released in
Yeah,
an
and they release
unfinished
it
state.
without fixing anything.
But yeah, I'll wait a year, see what Fat Shark does, and then maybe I'll buy it if it actually gets fixed.
It really is a shame.
Because I love Vermintide too.
Yeah.
EA adds its loot box system into the latest Skate beta. EA just
Oh,
couldn't help
excellent.
themselves with the loot boxes.
Oh, yeah, we're still on Blunders, aren't we? I
Yeah.
was expecting good news.
No, we only have It's all Blunders from here.
It's all Blunders from here. Blunders all the way down.
We've got a piece of tech news and some VR news, but yeah, it's pretty much Blunders. Yeah, it's a free-to-play game with cosmetics in it, and they're going to be coming in through 2 to 3 star loot boxes to get your skateboard stickers.
Gambling.
According to the FAQ, WWE 2K23's PC version will once again be based on the old gen version.
Excellent. Why re-release it then?
Classic 2K.
Just add that DLC.
Suicide Squad in-game image shows off Battle Pass and 6 currencies. The gameplay for this game I thought looked really fun and cool, but it seems like it's another live service superhero game. Speaking of...
It's not a single player... Wait, what?
It was co-op, but it's a live service
but
game.
it's not like a... Why does it need to be a live service then?
Speaking of successful superhero live service games, Marvel Avengers development is ceasing, with support to end for the game in September 30th, 2023.
This is as surprising as Stadia showing down. What the hell?
To the 2 people still playing this game, I apologise to you. And to the
Sorry for buying it.
And to the one guy on the PlayStation who has the Spider-Man exclusive character, I would say to you, Spider-Man will still remain exclusive to the PlayStation for some reason. It must be a Sony licensing thing.
Yeah.
That is so pathetic.
If you want to play Spider-Man,
they're shutting down
Spider-Man.
They're shutting down the game and they're like, yeah, but we're going to keep Spider-Man on the PlayStation. We can't let him go onto that PC or Xbox.
Again, if you want a better Spider-Man game, just play Spider-Man.
Ubisoft Paris employees are going on strike to protest the CEO's catastrophic comments. I don't know if you saw anything about this, but basically, the CEO came to say, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially he said, the employees need to work harder for less, and it has nothing to do with management. That's my paraphrasing what he said. But essentially he just said, there's tough times coming, the employees need to work harder and accept more.
I was going to make a joke that we're going to be the capitalists and say the blunder was that they're striking, but the boss is the one.
But full support to the Ubisoft employees. Fuck Ubisoft.
100%.
Hopefully some action gets taken as a part of this. Microsoft announced one of the biggest layoffs in tech history, I think. 10,000 people got laid off from Microsoft. 10,000 people got laid off from Amazon at the same time as well.
It's the whole industry, or the whole tech industry is having like massive.
One of the big things for games is a lot of game studios are affected, like Bethesda, and lots of like studios had a bunch of people. We don't know how much of it was, specific studios inside Microsoft, or how much was like the Xbox Live Service team or the Xbox development
of hardware. Or
but one thing we do know is that Microsoft has laid off the entire team behind virtual mixed reality and HoloLens.
Yeah, that's insane.
So it seems like PlayStation is doubling down on VR while Microsoft is just completely abandoning it. So it was reported that Microsoft really wanted to get a big military order in for the HoloLens because but it never came through because the soldiers testing it couldn't get past the nausea it gave the person wearing it. I believe the idea was that it was going to be like, you can like fly drones with a VR headset on your head for like a point of view of the drone. Like a UAV or something would be in the military application. It seems like no matter what they did, the soldiers couldn't stop being motion sick. So,
my vague understanding of this is that there were other companies also in the running, and I have a funny thing that they might have won smaller contracts and things. So yeah.
But also in Microsoft Blunder news, it was originally reported that Microsoft was taking Halo away from 343 Industries. As we all know, our favorite Halo games come from 343, such as Halo 4, Halo 5, and that sorry state that Halo Infinite launched in. Oh wait, every single good Halo game was made by Bungie before they left to go make Destiny.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is 343 still publishing and developing? Oh, it's still developing. Because essentially, 343 literally had to put out a statement saying, no, we're still making Halo games. They haven't taken that away from us. I mean, because we just had the news recently that literally the lead developer of 343, like the big chief, has stepped down from has like left the company. Who is that? It's the multiplayer creative director left. Bonnie Ross left the company. Like, everyone's leaving 343. People are just calling out at this point, please give Halo to someone else. My vote is for that other company you have. It's called Ninja Theory. I think it would be really funny to see a Ninja Theory Halo game. I just want every game to be made by Ninja Theory because I think it would be funny. Hell, give it to Tango. Let's see what Tango comes up for with a Halo game. That would be interesting to see. I just don't want to play another fucking Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite blunder for
Isn't the Halo Infinite like campaign decent? It's just like everything else like around it.
So I think co-op is broken. I think mechanically Halo Infinite plays pretty well.
Yeah.
But the campaign level design is really boring. And the multiplayer and the state, it just released in such a fucking early access broken state that it never should have released in that state.
Right.
It's my biggest issue with Infinite. I like Infinite. From what I played in the multiplayer, the actual the movement feels really good. The gunplay feels good.
Yeah.
But I haven't played the campaign. So from what I know, it's not great.
I've seen good things about the campaign, just like the actual characters aren't great, but like
I've been waiting for the campaign DLC. It's so weird that you buy DLC to play the Halo campaign.
Wasn't the base is free?
The base game's free, but it's just the multiplayer sort of thing.
Yeah. So you're paying for the campaign, yeah.
I was waiting for it to go on a bigger sale. It's on a 50%, which isn't low enough. Can you
play co-op?
I
think they cancelled.
That was something I was waiting for. It was launched. It was flighted.
Yeah, and they got glitched. I can't
remember. When is Halo Infinite?
Because it was meant to be like before the end of the year, right?
They were testing it out at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then like.
It says Halo Infinite's co-op campaign is set to launch on November 8th, 2022. That's the first thing that comes up.
Yeah.
But then I click on this news article from 3 days ago that says, so when is Halo Infinite's campaign co-op coming out?
I thought they cancelled it, but then this is like local stuff. Then the local stuff, then like they're able to like glitch it in because it still exists in the code, that you can still like force it on. In a really buggy way.
Halo Infinite could have campaign co-op right now, but I have no idea. It's hidden behind a DLC page. Let me read the reviews.
Can you not click the DLC page?
I think so, yeah, but I'm saying it's harder to get to rather than just typing Halo Infinite.
It's not, yeah. I always feel like I don't know what your opinion is on this.
Talking about the co-op, I don't think it's out, but the fact that it's so hard to find out if you can actually play 4-player ever since after Halo 2.
Yep.
Every single Halo game was a 4-player co-op game on launch with local multiplayer.
Yep. Until 343 ruined it.
Just seems insane to me it didn't launch with that, but yeah. I love the Master Chief Collection. I think it's amazing. I played through all the Halo games with my friends. I wanted to play Halo Infinite with my friends. I can't.
Yeah. Live service destroying the system. They don't
Yeah.
even update the single
Let's
player.
move on to tech news. Direct 3D to Vulkan translation layer DXVK 2.1 is adding HDR support, which improves shader stutter. Currently, this new
Nice.
HDR support is quite limited, though. No major Linux desktop environments actually supports HDR yet, so you will have to use GameScope specifically with it. When paired up with VKD3D Proton version 2.8 or newer, it will allow D3D12 games to detect it and use HDR10 color space if they support it. And it's only supported on AMD GPUs as well now at the moment. And it even needs special Linux kernel patches to get it to work.
Well, yeah, my understanding is that because to enable that, you need special.
Essentially, before this point, HDR just doesn't exist on Linux, but they're really trying to get it to be a thing. Like
to me, this is like the foundation. This is like the seed, like the foundational seed. I think this is good work, but it's not consumer ready.
It seems like the guys at Valve have got Steam Deck running with HDR, running on the Steam Deck connected to a HDR output display, because the Steam Deck screen is not HDR. It is 400 nits LCD panel. It doesn't have HDR on it.
It won't
because that was one of the big things where people were asking for a new iteration of the Steam Deck with a OLED screen like the Switch with HDR potentially. But in its current state, HDR is not really a thing on Linux, so that's something that's really going to need to be worked on before.
It's good that they're making progress though, because like again, it's like it's nice that like there's a seed there. There's something to like build upon. That's really important.
Also, I don't know if you know this, Tony, because I find this so fucking interesting. So DXVK, if you don't know, is essentially you're translating direct 3D like DX9 and shit like that. Into Vulkan, which can then run on Linux. Layer.
Yeah.
Did you know Intel Arc's drivers use DXVK to translate DirectX 9 games to Vulkan for performance games on Windows?
Yeah, because I honestly thought it was like for Linux only, and I was like, wait, I guess you can just use it and like make it work for whatever you want, I suppose.
Yeah, you're essentially just using a compatibility layer to turn DirectX games into Vulkan games. So there's no reason you couldn't do that on Windows. You don't have to be on Linux.
Well, they are doing it on Windows, so yeah, it's crazy. But I think it's interesting because like someone pointing out, like the Arc has no hardware support for that, so like they have to do it this way. And the fact that it's even working, I think,
because before the way they were doing it was they were doing emulation. They were emulating DirectX 9.
Yeah, awful.
But they've made huge performance gains by using DXVK. So I guess Intel Arc has
it's actually getting better. Yeah, it's like I saw like 1.5 to like 2.6 like performance increases in like what someone was testing, and I was like, that's kind of crazy.
Let's do VR news and then we can end it here. Half-Life 2 VR mod. We got the Half-Life 2 VR mod, which came out at the end of last year, which basically added Alex-like VR implementations of the entire Half-Life 2 campaign. And they've just released a trailer saying that they're going to be doing that level of VR input to Half-Life 2 Episode 1. The plan will be that this will be a separate store page, so you can download the episode separately, and it will come out Q1 of this year. So that's really cool to see. And then I guess next up is, after this will be Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and then after that will be Half-Life 3 VR. They'll make a mod for Half-Life 3
VR.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, what comes after 2? I never learned.
Alex, right?
Yeah. Oh, but this looks so cool. I have the Half-Life 2 VR mod downloaded, and I've heard like immensely good things about it, but I haven't been on VR yet because I was dealing with computer issues which were stopping me from playing VR. And then I've been trying to upgrade my PC. I really want to run my new GPU on VR and see what it's like, so I think it's going to be awesome. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my powers by, I've just been tinkering on the Steam Deck. But this looks really cool, so I'm really, really excited to try this, and that'll be coming out this year.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
The first quarter. PlayStation 2 VR, 13 new titles and launch lineup revealed. I think the coolest one was Gran Turismo 7, which is the first Gran Turismo game Wait, Gran Turismo 7. It's sorry, I'm thinking of Forza. I was about to say it's the first Forza Motorsport game. It's not Forza. I always get Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo mixed up
Oh,
because they're quite similar.
Oh, Sea Skylines VR. There we go.
Gran Turismo 7. It sounds like they've pretty much made the whole game to be playable in PSVR 2. So it seems like you're getting like the whole game experience. Of it's not just like a slice of Gran Turismo 7, which sounds really, really cool. So I'm really going to be interested to see what that looks like. Yeah, Cities VR from the Quest exclusive. Before Your Eyes is getting a VR version, because to this point you had to use a webcam to track your eyes. But the cool thing specifically about the PSVR,
because this one
it has eye tracking.
It has foveated rendering stuff as well, doesn't it? Sure, yeah.
It has eye tracking built into it, which means it makes a lot of sense to put Before Your Eyes into VR on the PSVR 2, because it's a closed system that every headset has eye tracking in it.
I'm actually quite excited for the PSVR 2.
I would be more excited if you could plug it into a PC. I think I would consider getting one, but my biggest issue is there's no killer app here, really. I mean, if somehow they went to Valve kicking and screaming and said, "Please let us release Half-Life Alyx on the PSVR 2, we will do all the work, we will port it over." Maybe they could have been like, "Finally, there's a killer app for PSVR 2," but it's going to be.
I will say
a lot of these games are available on other platforms.
That's true, but I will say for people on console, like I think this is actually good enough. It's not, again, a killer app would be great, but I think this is a good selection to get people buying it for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who really like it. Who are on PC.
Oh, wait a second. And then we'll do a Pitmology tweet and then we'll end. We've got Peter here saying, "If I was doing Death Stranding 2, I would have you control the baby. Now, a fully grown human taking care of a senior immobile Norman Reedus." So essentially, it would be the other way around. He carried you around the mountains. Now you need to carry the old man around the mountains.
Can I go one step further? Maybe the baby's controlling a mech and he puts full-size humans into tubes of power.
That would be very good, yeah. I would play the shit out of that game. Kojima, make it happen.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hideo Kojima does it again. Wait, somebody said, is it... would... Hideo Kojima?
Hideo Kojima, I suppose.
Yeah. You can check us out, Everything In Between Podcast on YouTube, at Everything In Between Podcast is our handle. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, at Scorn2000 on Twitter. And if you want to listen to the audio version, shows.cast.com/Everything In Between Podcast. If you go to the episode, it will link you to the Apple Podcast version and the Spotify version. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.